the ways in which like liberal media is going to cover the story is going to launder his reputation and whitewash what he has done, whitewash what he has said, because this is a horrifying incident. I will say, from my perspective, as someone who does like live streams and events such as that one, the only times when there's like weird shit that happens in those live streams is always in a fucking red state. Now, of course, I'm not a conservative commentator. I'm a leftist, and maybe that's the reason. But the only time I've ever had like weird experiences when doing IRLs is if I'm in the state of Texas, even in a blue area, still a red state, or in Nevada. So, I don't know. Ben Shapiro's statement, like all of you, I'm utterly stunned and heartbroken and sick to my soul today. It is unimaginable to write these words. I met Charlie Kirk when he was 18 years old, a young man so eager and determined that I immediately turned to a friend and said, that kid's going to be the head of the RNC one day. Charlie became even bigger and more important than that. It was a privilege to watch this principled man stand up for beliefs to create the single most important conservative political organization in America. But more importantly, Charlie was a good man. Oh my God. A man who believed in right and wrong, who stood by his biblical values. All of us will miss him. And I can't imagine the pain of his beautiful young family. We all must pray for them. And we must pick up the baton where Charlie left it. I think when these guys say like, we must pray, like thoughts and prayers, it almost feels like it always feels so hollow. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, I don't think it comes from a sincere place. They might genuinely think it's coming from a sincere place, but it feels so empty. It feels like we just don't want any solutions to this. That's what it translates to me as. And it's not because like, oh, I'm not a very spiritual person. That's not the reason. It almost feels like you kind of recognize that this is impossible to contend with. So you're just basically saying like, oh, you know, we should pray. We should pray for this person. We should pray for this. We should pray for that. It just, I don't know. And we must pick up the baton where Charlie left it, fighting for the things he believes in so passionately. We must fight for a better America. Like it almost feels like you're saying that because you kind of recognize that there's no solution that you would want to advocate for. And therefore you're just kind of looking for like the correct thing to say in this moment. You know, that's what it feels like. This shit hit the coworker sphere. Oh yeah. In America, where good people can speak the truth and debate passionately without fear of a bullet. I weep for Charlie's family and I weep for my country today. Most of all, I weep for Charlie. Yeah, well, now we know where they're going to go with this. Laura Loomer says, it's time for the Trump administration to shut down, defund, and prosecute every single leftist organization. If Charlie Kirk dies from his injuries, his life cannot be in vain. We must shut these lunatic leftists down once and for all. The left is a national security threat. You guys, under different circumstances, I would say this is an insane person. But unfortunately, we live in insane times, and Laura Loomer has been able to actually get a lot of initiatives passed in this administration. She does have, I'm afraid, a lot more motion than you would expect. Not only does she have the ear of the president, she's been able to bully Marco Rubio, for example, into taking actions. And while we have no idea what this person's background is, what the person's like the shooter's ideological motivations were, even if they were left, this would be a ridiculous fucking response. Especially considering we've never been able to shut down neo-Nazi organizations in this fucking country when they are responsible for the overwhelming majority of mass shooting incidents that take place. Far-right anti-government extremism is and has been the largest ideological background of all of the domestic terror incidents on U.S. soil since 9/11. Okay? It's not even close. Nothing comes close to it. And yet, no initiatives are ever taken in terms of like tackling this problem ideologically. No initiatives are ever taken in terms of tackling the problem materially, like gun control, something that Charlie Kirk himself was, of course, very much against. But instead, I suspect that the administration will use this as an opportunity to basically go after as many people as possible that they have declared enemies, ideological enemies. Yeah, not great. A local mayor urges people to report anything as suspicious as shooting suspect remains at large, by the way. Mayor David Young of the north central Utah city of Orem says several local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies are working the investigation, with the suspect in Kirk's fatal shooting remains at large. He says police in Orem and at Utah Valley University are among many agencies involved in the investigation. Meanwhile, authorities have told anyone at Utah Valley University to secure in place after Wednesday's shooting. What is this? What the hell is this? Yeah. What Laura Loomer is doing there, for the record, as far as like making this an opportunity is identical to what took place with Horst Ludwig George Erich Wessel. He became a symbol of propaganda in Nazi Germany after 2 members of the Communist Party of Germany, KPD, killed him. Now, there is no evidence as to who the shooter was. There is no evidence as to their background, but it doesn't even matter because it's clear to me that at least people with tremendous influence over this administration will try and use this as an opportunity to stamp out any kind of progressive movement in this country.
Like someone else said before, you didn't have to pay for them. And honestly, you didn't have to show them at all. People could just walk in, set up where they wanted to sit, and watch everything. So yeah, no security. I will say there were some police on campus, but not checking people walking in, not, scanning for metal, none of that.
Did that surprise you in the moment, or are you kind of thinking about it now?
Honestly, no. I mean, I think there definitely should have been security, but no, it seemed like, just a great hangout for everybody to hang out with Charlie and, ask him questions because he's so laid back and he'll talk to you about anything. So I don't know. I guess now, now we know you definitely need to be having a little bit more security.
Well, and I think that was part of Charlie Kirk's appeal, right? That he did want to engage with people. And it was not like he just wanted to engage with fans. He wanted to engage with people that had differing views of his. We've watched these campus events for a while now, and he's traveled the country. This was his first stop. What kind of mark does that leave? I
mean, it's intense. I think, honestly, even though he's gone, he is making such a massive impact on the community, not only in Utah, but across the world, because he was doing God's work. And
Okay. I don't.
Really pioneered a new model for merging political activism and point of view media. He was envied by many of his rivals on the left for what he was able to build with Turning Points. He was like a pastor and a political organizer and a radio host and a YouTuber and a TikTok influencer and a nonprofit leader, all in one.
Yeah, I mean, it's expected. The media is going to.
As a result of this sickening murder. Accessibility was really one of his virtues, Jake.
From the left and the right, the media is going to present Charlie Kirk as a martyr.
Tour in Utah today. He had at least a dozen other tours.
They're going to talk about it in completely non-ideological ways. They are going to talk about him as an incredibly skillful communicator, an organizer, and I do think that
I looked it up. I want to read his words because
I do think that this will. I mean, yeah, he is. Like, my expectation is not that they just like fucking shit on him. Obviously, that would be crazy. But
gathered around him, around that tent, and around his security. So this is Turning Point USA, as he recently said to a Utah newspaper just a few days ago, quote, "We want to be an institution in this country that is as well known and as powerful as the New York Times, Harvard."
Hasan Piker, progressive influencer, says only gun control could have saved Charlie Kirk. Among those coming to terms with the fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk on Wednesday is a progressive streamer, Hasan Piker, who was scheduled to debate Kirk at Dartmouth College in 2 weeks. On his Twitch live stream, Piker expressed horror at the shooting and urged his followers not to celebrate it, but told viewers to stop writing in to tell him to wear a bulletproof vest or hire security for his public appearances. "I don't have any security," Piker told his viewers. "It shouldn't be like this." He went on to argue that only gun control could prevent mass shootings. In a moment like this, a reasonable government would say, "All right, enough is enough," Piker said. "If we had a responsible government and not a bunch of fucking psychopaths running the show," he added. The U.S. would already have had serious gun control following the massacre of Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut in 2012. "I need to really reconsider the way I do everything outside for the foreseeable future," Piker said. Before people say wear a bulletproof vest again, he got shot in the neck. A bulletproof vest would not have saved Charlie Kirk. The only thing that could have potentially saved Charlie Kirk, he added, was if our administrations prior to this one and this one as well actually had reasonable gun control as a policy position in the aftermath of, I don't know, 100 other school shootings.
Think about the time around Barack Obama's re-election. Kirk was a grassroots activist, barely 18 years old, launching his organization, gaining connections within the Republican movement before it became the Trump movement. And he was an early ally of now Vice President J.D. Vance. The two men had a very close relationship, and Vance was one of the very first Trump officials that we heard from when word of this shooting broke. It does speak to this generational moment in politics where Kirk was helping to get hundreds of people out to college campuses, sometimes very blue, very lefty college campuses. There would be controversies, there would be protests and counter-protests, and that's partly what Kirk wanted. You know, one of the names for his tour was the Prove Me Wrong tour. He didn't shy away from talking to folks from the other proverbial side. He wanted to engage in that debate.
No, I mean, come on. He was cutting propaganda and you know, only talking to people that he could bully viciously and cut propaganda and state their like ideological opponents as like hysterical people that don't know anything. It's not like this was an honest attempt to like truly understand the other side's perspective. This kind of framing is also indecent in my opinion. Like, there's no reason. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my brain is broken. But I don't think that there is any reason to just, you know, launder the reputation of someone in the aftermath of their untimely demise in an effort like with completely fabricated positions.
Kirk as a Trump whisperer and someone who worked as much behind the scenes as in front of the camera. You know, I said earlier that Kirk is a little bit like a new age Rush Limbaugh in terms of his power in the media marketplace, dominating online and on the airwaves. And Kirk was able to do that in a way where he was talking behind the scenes, talking directly with President Trump and his allies, and then going on the radio or his podcast for hours at a time. And the way that it works now, you know, he was able to connect on YouTube and TikTok, on Instagram and on old-fashioned radio all simultaneously. It really magnified his power as a movement leader, and that's what stood out to me a few minutes ago. Max Rose saying this is an assassination.
Yeah, my expectation is not that they be disrespectful, but you don't have to lie. You know what I mean? Like,
leader being gunned down in the middle of a university courtyard.
No, horrific. Brian, stand by for us. New video shows conservative activist Charlie Kirk today, just moments before he was shot and killed. Again, he was at Utah Valley University in the state of Utah attending a campus tour stop with Turning Points USA. It's the conservative youth organization he founded about 13 or so years ago. I want to bring in CNN's Kristen Holmes, who's at the White House. And Kristen, we heard the news from President Trump not long ago. He was the one that broke the news to the world that Charlie Kirk had been killed, was dead.
You said earlier people feel so safe in Japan because of gun control. Why don't people say that about other countries that have gun control? Is there a chance that it's both a culture issue and a gun control issue? No, it's definitely still a gun control issue, because even people that go to like London or Paris, places where they say there's a lot of crime happening, there's a lot of violence happening, when Americans go to those places, they talk about how they feel still much safer than they do in other American neighborhoods. I mean, think about all the TikTok memes that have come out of, like, you know, when you get stood up by a British gangster, you know what I mean? Versus what it looks like in the United States of America. Obviously, there are other factors at play here as well, but one of the most significant components here that makes everything less safe is, of course, easy access to guns.
They spent an enormous amount of time with. Brian alluded to this during the transition. Charlie Kirk spent most of his time in West Palm Beach, Florida, in Palm Beach, meeting with the different teams, meeting with the candidates, talking through the nominations. He was an integral part of the campaign, of getting Trump elected, and of the people who are currently in positions of power. And that's why you're seeing such a sadness and a disbelief from so many people close to the president. And when it comes to talking strictly about his influence and his power within Washington, I mean, one of the things to keep in mind here is that this is somebody who had a direct line to President Trump, who could voice his objections to President Trump at times. He could voice what he thought was important and not being covered enough by the administration. He spoke to many, if not all, of the cabinet secretaries directly. He had a finger on the pulse of the MAGA movement, even more so than some people who are here in Washington who got government positions. If you look at the crowd that had gathered around Kirk, that was just one example of the kind of crowds that Kirk would draw. He was truly a movement leader, as we've heard. He would bring thousands and thousands of people together, and that was why he was so critical, beyond just the personal, to the campaign, to President Trump. He was the one who really
what the fuck?
Crossed him over the finish line.
You can't hate the media enough. Good afternoon. I was wondering if Charlie Kirk getting shot affects their position on campus scary. If gun control had been in play, could the tragedy have been avoided?
Which we know was a huge part of President Trump's strategy. So there are a lot of different levels of all of this. The
from his
influence,
position
the
at
power, the connection
Florida
to the
politics.
base, but also the family and the relationships that Charlie Kirk had built with all of the Trumps. We have seen the children responding each individually about their relationships with Charlie Kirk, saying to pray for him and his family. Again, he was a fixture here in Washington, even though he doesn't live here, because he was constantly coming in to sit for the swearing-ins of various officials, because those officials were the people he was close to. So this is a great loss for this White House, not just for the MAGA movement, but even personally for the people who are inside the building there.
Yeah, it's tough.
Kirk's killing follows political violence around the country this year.
There are people watching right now who are only kind of peripherally, or maybe even not even aware of who Charlie Kirk was. Ask your kids, ask your grandkids, even if they're not MAGA, if they're on phones, they know who Charlie Kirk is. Teenagers, people in their 20s, they know who Charlie Kirk is. Even if they disagree with him, they know who he is. He really was a voice for this young generation. Again, even if they didn't agree with him. Kristen Holmes, stick around. I want to bring in David Urban now, former Trump campaign advisor. David, I'm sorry to be talking to you under these conditions. What are you hearing from your friends and your colleagues, people who know and follow Charlie Kirk right now? Tell us what people are going through.
Yeah, you know, Jake, it's a tragedy for America, not just for the Republican Party or for MAGA, Jake, as you know. I met Charlie back in during the 2016 race, and used to joke with him. You know, he was an Eagle Scout. He's an all-American kind of boy. Wanted to go to West Point. I went to West Point, so he and I joke about that. But he was doing it the right way, Jake. You heard Brian Seltzer.
Oh my God. Okay, first of all, the West Point is actually an incredibly important aspect of Charlie Kirk's media career, because when he was in high school, he wanted to go to West Point and he couldn't get into West Point. So he wrote in the high school newspaper, I believe, an article about how a black girl had actually taken his spot. He had no evidence for this, of course, but he wrote that article and then it was published on Breitbart. Once this article was published on Breitbart at the age of 18, immediately he became a conservative spokesperson. Okay. I use Charlie Kirk's career as an example of how the right-wing media machine plucks people randomly from all around the country, no matter how old they are, and immediately turns them into like spokespersons for the cause. Charlie Kirk then took on this newfound fame from Breitbart all the way to Fox News, because there is a tremendous amount of vertical integration here. And he went back to Foster Friess. Who was someone that his father knew, okay? And he begged him for money to start Turning Point USA with the express purpose of turning a basically like a super PAC for college and high school student government bodies. That was the initial purpose of Turning Point USA. He went to a bunch of conservative mega donors and said, give me money and I will go and change the outcome of student government bodies. That was how Turning Point USA was created, okay? The reason why I'm very familiar with Charlie Kirk, of course, is because both Charlie Kirk and I became relatively famous, known figures in the exact opposite side of the political spectrum around the same time. He was presented as like the alternative universe, like the bizarro version of myself, and I was presented as the opposite to him. That's why we debated a bunch of times. But of course, his career took on an entirely different fucking, it went to a totally different place as opposed to mine. And this is actually an example that I use regularly to tell you, like, there is a difference in the way that right-wing political operations work versus liberal and Democratic parties' political operations work. His trajectory was vast. It was super fast. And he just kept building on it and became an institutional power. Okay. As opposed to the Democrats on the other side would never, ever in a million years offer similar opportunities to those on the left, those on the liberal side even. No, we didn't have the same demos of audiences, for the record. We didn't. I had a younger audience. Charlie Kirk never had a young audience until recently. Until this last election cycle with a TikTok initiative, Charlie Kirk was not a known entity amongst young people. That's not true. Charlie Kirk, for the longest part of his career, as a matter of fact, did not have any young people in his audience whatsoever. He just simply presented, he was basically the Olivia Juliana of the Republicans, getting a bunch of money from mega donors, but much more successful than Olivia Juliana, given the way that the Republican media ecosystem operates as opposed to the Democrat one. But until recently, he was just like, he just kept farming donations from old people who didn't know any better and thought that he was actually able to reach a much younger crowd and change their minds. Of course, this is not factoring the last, I would say, 3 to 4 years of his career, because once they started doing these TikTok initiatives, he did certainly draw much younger crowds. Okay? TikTok was what gave Turning Point USA actually a young audience, and it perfectly corresponded to Gen Z attitudes about Trump as well. They had a much different perspective about Trump. They had not experienced, I guess, like COVID, or at least during the COVID lockdowns, they developed negative attitudes towards the Democrats because they saw Democrats, I guess, as the responsible party for these lockdowns and whatnot. And eventually you saw this right-wing swing, and Charlie Kirk was right there and was the guy that took advantage of this right-wing swing, and also the advantage of the medium, the new medium for political propaganda, TikTok. Okay? But before then, since 2012 onward, and especially past like, 2016 all the way into, like, I would say 2023, Charlie Kirk had no prominence amongst the youth. It was only after like 2023, 2024 and the election cycle did he actually reach a much broader, younger audience. Turning Point USA was entirely comprised of, the only young people that you saw at Turning Point USA events were just young people that wanted to be a part of the Republican machine. Those were the attendees. It wasn't just like average normies and whatnot that were, it wasn't anything beyond the young American, the YA young conservatives on campus type people that were aware of Charlie Kirk and actively invested in Turning Point USA. I'm worried. I'm worried. That's all I can say in this moment. There's a video of the new unidentified person spotted on a nearby rooftop before Charlie Kirk was shot. Suspect still at large. I don't know if this is a confirmed. I mean, this seems, unconfirmed, so I don't know. I'll wait for additional confirmation instead of just like, are you more worried about Trump or random vigilantes? I'm worried about both. There's good reason to worry about both. Sky's the limit here in terms of the unlimited cruelty that we can experience. Utah has no gun control on campus. Yeah, there's a White House proclamation ordering flags flown at half-staff until sunset on September 14th in honor of the memory of Charlie Kirk. As a mark of respect for the memory of Charlie Kirk by the authority vested in me as the President of the United States by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, I hereby order the flags of the United States shall be flown at half-mast at the White House and upon all public buildings and grounds at all military posts and naval stations. It's kind of wild that Trump didn't do that for the Minnesota shooting. Yeah, of course he didn't do that for the Minnesota shooting, because the Minnesota shooter was a fucking far-right figure and a mercenary who assassinated Democrats. That's it. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand on this 10th day in September in the year of our Lord 2025, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 250th, Donald J. Trump. How do I think Dems should respond? I don't even know. I don't know how they're going to respond, but I suspect it's not going to be a positive one. And I do worry that they're not going to take a defensive posture against the unlimited political repercussions that the left will experience as a consequence of this. even though there is no evidence to suggest that this was even done by the left. And even if it was, it still doesn't matter. It's ridiculous. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker on the shooting of Charlie Kirk. Political violence, unfortunately, has ramped up in this country. I think there are people who are fomenting it in this country, and I think the president's rhetoric often foments it. It's true. What the fuck? What is this audio? What is happening with this audio? Can you guys hear it? Is the tab muted? No. What the fuck? Is my shit busted? Let me see.
Utah, and this is, as he
No,
told me,
my shit's not busted. It's just that video. It's fine.
He said is a very painful moment for not just him, but for his community as well.
This is my backyard. This is very, very personal because of that. Yeah, it really is escalating. We know that. I think it's time for all of us to reevaluate how we're talking about issues. I think that if we're honest, we're having conversations within families that are too heated. We're having conversations among friends that are too heated, and then that obviously escalates as it gets to a broader conversation. It's not healthy. It's not who we are.
When I was in college, you used to be able to walk in those doors and just walk right into the Capitol. And it didn't have any of the security. Obviously, airports were the same. And the more we just have this like sickness in society, the more we have to clamp down, and the more you have to have, security barriers and lock down our society because people are just sick.
And also, just after that moment, the Speaker of the House tried to ask for a moment of silence. Ultimately, did get a moment of silence. But before that, there was a back and forth that occurred between Democrats and Republicans as one congresswoman tried to ask for a prayer for Charlie Kirk and his family. That led to some back and forth about some of the political violence that we are seeing in this country, just showing just the raw emotion and the tension that is happening right now, particularly in the aftermath of all of this, as members grapple with this, particularly ones who are very close to Charlie Kirk. He had a lot of allies in the GOP side, particularly in the House over the years, and they're very feeling this very personally, Jake.
He and Speaker Johnson, Mike Johnson of Louisiana, very close friends. Manu Raju, thanks so much. Just in, a law enforcement official confirmed to CNN that there remains an active manhunt for the person responsible for this apparent assassination. And the initial search, they say, did not recover any sort of firearm. Much more as we cover this story. Stay with us.
Tonight on 360.
The stories that matter. Anderson Cooper 360.
I can't believe there's still a fucking active manhunt. That's crazy. It's wild.
Moment of silence.
This is a moment, in fact, when you see leaders across the political spectrum coming together. While they may not agree with all of the political positions, the social issues and stances that Charlie took, they all agree that this is not what our country is about. They are condemning this act of violence, saying this is something that should never happen in our country. As you mentioned, there is that somber moment on the House floor as we continue to see this outpouring of just outrage and grief and condemnation from leaders all across the political spectrum, Kana. This is just really an unbelievable moment.
And, Selena, I've spoken with several witnesses who were there, and many of them were there just because they wanted to be there. They wanted to be a part of it. They wanted to see him speak. But others who say, I had a question for him. I was lined up. I was lined up with people to ask questions. And what they pointed out, Selena, that was even in the line, because of the area that Charlie Kirk had created, they were having lively debate, back and forth debate, Republicans and conservatives in this line together.
And Charlie Kirk was known for sparking that kind of conversation. He has so many viral moments online with his millions and millions of followers for all of them to view, where he has these sparring debates with students who are very progressive, who clash with his views, and he'd like to have these kind of rapid fire conversations. I mean, Turning Point USA, they are across the country. They go to these high school campuses, college campuses. He is an advocate for this conservative movement, for reaching this young base and mobilizing them to become part of this MAGA movement. But it wasn't just about spreading those ideals, but also debating with people who have wildly different views than he has. And he was very effective at using that and turning it into this media empire online through his social media videos, through his podcasts. He's really was seen as one of the most influential MAGA podcasters and right-wing influencers in general.
Absolutely. We talk a lot about his appearance on Governor Newsom's podcast. I mean, Governor Newsom chose him to launch his podcast. He was his very first guest. That was the level of importance that even, Democrats really viewed him as. Selena, I want to play for everyone a soundbite here. It's actually from our own John Karl, who was able to get President Trump on the phone. And John Karl's reflecting on the conversation they had, but this was just really moments before the announcement was made that this young 31-year-old father had been murdered.
I had a brief conversation with the president over the phone. He sounded quite upset, quite down about this. He told me it's horrific. It's one of the most horrific things I've ever seen. He was a great guy. He was a good man. He was an incredible guy. There's nobody like him.
You can even tell there, Selena, when John Karl is talking.
Why aren't they playing some of his inspiring and wholesome speeches? Because if they did, then I think the ABC News audience would not reflect positively on it, I don't think.
Throughout this country, as people are certainly thinking about Charlie Kirk's wife and young children, 2 of them under the age of 5.
He's 31 years old. He is a father. He is a husband and a leader of this movement as well. And just reflecting on what John Karl was saying about his conversation with the president, I mean, this is someone who President Trump has frequently called out, expressing.
Bro, I don't get how these guys get away with this shit, dude. Like, it's so insane. Fox host Jesse Waters, they're at war with us. Whether we want to accept it or not, they're at war with us. And what are we going to do about it? Like he just sees this opportunity to do fucking, like, he's just like, he's just mad that it was Charlie Kirk that was shot. He's like, why isn't it that the leftists are getting shot? Why isn't it that, like, liberals are getting shot? Like, that's it. This is a call for violence. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's so crazy, man. It is so fucking wild that these guys will then also simultaneously turn around and be like, well, it's really fucked up. It's really, we gotta tone down the violent rhetoric. Okay, tell your guys to tone it down. Fuck you mean tone down the violent rhetoric? Where is the violent rhetoric coming from?
This hits different.
Yes, I don't think someone on the left would get such praise or same positive coverage. They would victim blame 100%. Yes, of course. Yes, 100%. That is the reality, okay?
Differently. Because Charlie was one of us. And Trump gets hit in the ear. Charlie gets shot dead. They came after Kavanaugh with a rifle to his neighborhood. They went after Musk's cars. They
went after Musk's cars. Brother, once again, I can't believe, dude, what the fuck? These are not comparable things, okay? Also, 2 months ago, there was a dude that assassinated Democrat politicians and had a hit list of every single Democrat in the state of Minnesota. And these fucking assholes immediately went, oh, he's a leftist. He must be a leftist. They have concocted a completely alternative universe where they just go off of their own hysteria, their own made-up norms, their own made-up reality.
2 Jews outside the embassy. Think about it. Scalise got shot, barely survived. It's happening. You got trans shooters. You got riots in LA.
Trans shooters.
They are at war with us. Whether we want to accept it or not, they are at war with us. And what are we going to do about it? How much political violence are we going to tolerate?
Like, the numbers on the board, numbers on the fucking board, it is not even a comparison. There is no comparison to be made here between violence coming from the political right versus violence coming from the political left. It is so crazy.
And that's the question we're just going to have to ask ourselves. Now, Charlie would want us to put as much pressure on these people as possible.
Holy fuck, bro. These guys are so insane. He's like, all right, one of my friends died. It's time. It's time to fucking use his death to angle for more political repression, political persecution to a made-up enemy that I made up in my mind. Charlie would want that, okay? Did you see this Jay Schlatt tweet?
Dana nailed it. This is unacceptable and has to stop. And it has to stop now. And everybody's accountable. And we're watching what they're saying on television and who's saying what. The politicians, the media, and all these rats out there. This can never happen again. It ends now. Greg's right again. This is a turning point, and we know which direction we're going.
How do I be normal about this though? Just don't ask me that question right now, okay? Please. This feels like a nightmare. One of the most horrific things I've ever seen. I feel absolutely gutted and devastated. Pray for Charlie Kirk's soul, his young family, and for our country. The violence and hatred has to stop. Our country needs Christ more than ever. That's crazy. That's crazy because the person saying that is Nick Fuentes. Charlie Kirk says a patriot should bail out alleged Paul Pelosi attacker. Dude, he has said everything under the sun, okay? You could write the most scathing obituary of Charlie Kirk by simply posting everything Charlie Kirk has said in the aftermath of high-profile assassinations, in the aftermath of political violence, in the aftermath of a million different school shootings. Okay? This is part of the reason why I say like the ways in which like liberal media is going to cover the story is going to launder his reputation and whitewash what he has done, whitewash what he has said, because this is a horrifying incident. Okay. He has talked about how there shouldn't be any empathy in the aftermath of school shootings. He said it all. He has said over and over again that it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment.
Having an armed citizenry comes with a price.
The reason why I'm showing this is not to say, well, you know, tough titties or whatever. The reason why I'm showing this is because Charlie Kirk is a part of a machine, a right-wing media machine that has actively worked every single day to make your coworkers also feel comfortable with this violence, okay? And if you're a right-winger that's tuning in right now to watch me to see if I'll celebrate this or something, even though you fundamentally misunderstand my commentary if you think that I would do so, but regardless, understand that the reason why I'm showing this is because these people have played a formative role in Charlie Kirk's situation. He has played a formative role in his own demise by playing a part in a media landscape, in a media environment that normalizes this death and destruction. Video of the shooter. Wait, what? Captured? We don't know if that's real. Okay.
And that is part of liberty. Wow. Driving comes with a price. 50,000 people die on the road every year. That's a price. You get rid of driving, you'd have 50,000 less auto fatalities. But we have decided that the benefit of driving, speed, accessibility, mobility, having products, services, is worth the cost of 50,000 people dying on the road. Wow. So we need to be very clear that you're not going to get gun deaths to zero. It will not happen. Right. You can significantly reduce them through having more fathers in the home, yes, by having more armed guards in front of schools. Yes. We should have an honest and clear reductionist view of gun violence.
Yeah, in his moment of his passing, when he got shot in the neck, he was still advocating for not only less gun control, but he was literally talking about how the only solution to gun violence is by stopping trans people. Because when he goes to these events, there are a lot of people who don't agree with him who attend to debate him. And one of these people was actually asking him a question. He said, Charlie, do you know how many trans people are mass shooters? He said, I don't know. Far too many. And he responded with, do you know how many mass shootings? He said, there's only been 5. Do you know how many mass shootings have taken place in the last 10 years? As opposed to the last 10 years of 5 trans shooters. And while he was in the process of responding to that by saying, well, do you mean gang violence or without gang violence? He got shot in the neck down to the last moment. Now, if people don't understand that in and of itself, the way that people feel about this issue when they reiterate these talking points, when they don't fully comprehend the severity of the problem of gun violence in this country, like even in this moment, if they don't understand, like what is the reason why it happens in the United States of America and it doesn't happen anywhere else to the same frequency, to the same magnitude, I don't know what will cause them to recognize it. And my fear is that in the absence of that recognition, in the absence of critical examination, I fear that people are just going to become increasingly more mad. And that's why there's a lot of talk, as this chatter says, about getting revenge on leftist commentators. What's the proper response to this? There is no proper response to this. There's nothing. There's nothing you can say or do. What are you going to do? Tell people don't do that? That's not the answer. That's not going to stop people. It is what it is. What is this? Literally all of Twitter? I've noticed that the leftist center response has been condemnation of the violence, while the right-wing response has largely been some variation of, we need to physically destroy liberals. Yeah. No, that's it. Liberals, for the most part, are saying, like, this is really fucked up. We can't have any sort of political violence whatsoever. And a lot of Republicans are basically saying, nah, we should just kill every leftist now, actually. We should kill them. We should kill them dead. Once again, people who fail to comprehend that, like, I myself clearly am an ideological opponent to Charlie Kirk. I despise his worldview. I have debated him on numerous occasions, and I was slated to debate him again. So clearly, my method, or what I think is the appropriate thing to do in this circumstance, was not political violence, especially considering that I too am in the crosshairs as a left-wing political content creator, but also would have been directly in the crosshairs alongside Charlie Kirk in a public event anyway. Don't go. Well, I don't think that debate is happening any longer, chatter. Obviously. I don't think that there will be any public events for people like myself in the future. This old take of his, yeah. Yo, is Charlie Kirk dead? Yes, he's dead. Gutfeld actually making sense.
It's interesting. We don't know who did this, but I do know it doesn't help the left, which makes me think, is it the left? I don't know. We don't know, but it feels professional. That's all.
That's crazy. That's crazy that Greg Gutfeld has found a moment of honesty. What a unique situation. He must be shook.
Well, it feels to me,
Greg, you asked me a question.
Jesse Waters took no fucking moment to immediately go on with, well, political violence, it's time to fucking dish it back to the left, as though the left is responsible for this. We need more violence. The solution to what we just experienced is more violence. Judging by the shameful, opportunistic, and politicizing rhetoric of some right-wingers on this hell site and their cynical use of Charlie Kirk's horrific murder for political point scoring, it's almost as if Representative Melissa Hortman wasn't murdered by a MAGA maniac just 12 weeks ago. Yep.
But we should not have a utopian one. You will never live in a society when you have an armed citizenry and you won't have a single gun death. That is nonsense. It's drivel. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational. Nobody talks like this. They live in a complete alternate universe. So then how do you reduce? Very simple. People say, oh, Charlie, how do you stop school shootings? I don't know. How did we stop shootings at baseball games? Because we have armed guards outside of baseball games. That's why. How do we stop all the shootings at airports? We have armed guards outside of airports. How do we stop all the shootings at banks? We have armed guards outside of banks. How do we stop all the shootings at gun shows? Notice there's not a lot of mass shootings at gun shows. There's all these guns because everyone's armed.
This thread identifies to have appeared. This thread appears to have identified where the shooting took place, rooftop directly across from the stage. New posted footage. I know people are. This is the same exact rooftop, I think, on the roof of the Lucy Center at UVU. So this is the video that's been circulating. Additional footage shows an individual running across the roof of the Lucy Center in the moments after the shooting. Where is it? Where's the dude? Oh, right here. No. Oh, there it is. Oh my God. Okay, never mind. Oh my God. Is that the one? Is that? Yeah, look right here. Do you see that? Or is that a window speck of dirt? It might be, it could be a speck of dirt. I don't know, but it feels like it, I mean, it's moving. I don't think is it moving? Is it not moving? I can't tell. It looks like it's moving. It moves with the camera. Yeah, because it's running in the opposite direction. That's the reason why it's like almost like a visual trick. But it also could be artifacting taking place because it's like, no, it's definitely moving. Look at the trail that it takes. It's because at the end there, it moves a little bit faster. No, see, yeah, it's moving. It's definitely not. It's not a speck of dirt, dude. Look, it's gone. Yeah, I saw that the account Doug Zimmer was created just to post another angle of the roof. There's something very suspicious. I mean, there's always like insanely weird, insanely suspicious shit that happens in the aftermath of incidents like this. This is the original video that I didn't want to show you because I didn't see enough. But yeah, here, someone literally someone filmed this guy. I mean, I don't understand. Like, that's awfully weird. That's awfully strange.
Ran in.
What, there's audio?
Can run it up. Yeah. You think he'd already be in place? You would think that. So there's somebody on the roof right there. Just saying. He just ran from over. Where's my finger? Well, from over there, ran in, and now he's right there. Just saying.
I'm like, why would they even think to film that? I mean, I guess that's not that crazy. And also, they probably thought that it was security because there are sniper rifles at. It's a speck of dirt. It doesn't look like a speck of dirt from that video that you're posting. I don't understand. Also, there are different angles. There are literally different angles where they show that. I mean, I think this is the same roof. Yeah, that's the same roof in a different video. CNN reports Vance is going to Utah next Thursday. Look, where is it? What is this? Grifters gonna grift? I don't want to ever hear Charlie Kirk claim he's pro-Trump ever again. After this weekend, I'd say he has revealed himself as a political opportunist, and I've had front row seats to witness the mental gymnastics these last 10 years. Lately, Charlie has decided to behave like a charlatan, claiming to be pro-Trump one day while he stabs Trump in the back the next day. TPUSA was only able to thrive thanks to the generosity of President Trump. He got killed because he was anti-Israel, and you can't have someone who's that powerful over the right be anti-Israel. What the fuck? Charlie Kirk is one of the biggest deep throaters of Israel out there. What the fuck are you talking about? You think Charlie Kirk is anti-Israel? Oh my God. It's official. We now officially have the Arab version of, like, he was just about to buy an NFL team. That's got to be, this is the Arab version of that. Oh, that prominent figure was just about to buy an NFL team until they took him out. Benjamin Netanyahu, literally the entire right hates Israel and he had to fall in line. What are you talking about? Benjamin Netanyahu is like talking about how he got murdered for speaking the truth and defending freedom, a lion-hearted friend to Israel. Where is this coming from? I'm not going to name names. What? This is a fucking InfoWars guy, Harrison A. Smith. I'm not going to name names, but I was told by someone close to Charlie Kirk that Charlie thinks Israel will kill him if he turns against them. Are you guys crazy? What do words mean? Charlie Kirk was anti-Israel is a absolutely psychotic assessment to make. You are just not living on the same planet that we're all living on if you think that he was fucking anti-Israel in any capacity, man. What the fuck is this?
Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good.
Nina Turner responded to you?
Nothing quite yet. So just getting our live stream set up.
The seal showing, but you tell me what you think of the angle.
Okay.
I like the seal. Test. Do they want any water? Yeah, might as well bring a few in.
Yeah, Charlie Kirk was so pro-Israel. Itamar Ben-Gvir is talking about his death.
So, as I mentioned, we are going to go actively live. Lieutenant Roden, we're going to start.
Basically, everyone in the government of Israel is fucking talking about how they're praying
Also, if you guys need a water
for the champion of the free world. And this is yet another one of these tweets from Charlie. The deaths of women and children in Gaza are the fault of Hamas, not Israel, just like the deaths in Japan during World War II were the fault of Japan, not America. When a government engages in unprovoked murderous aggression, they are to blame for everything that results. AP is interviewing Congress right now.
That are 10 or 20 times higher than Canada, the European Union, Mexico, or, what have you. So that's something concrete that we can do to try to turn this nightmare around. Obviously, I don't want people engaged in political violence of any kind, whether it's with guns or knives. Or
His most recent video on Qatar, Charlie asked if we should start questioning Israel more. Man, that's a delicate fucking tightrope that he has to dance on. That's not enough for Israel to assassinate him, okay? What are you talking about?
At this point, in the rhetoric from the left as a result for this shooting, I mean, do you think that?
I think if Israel were to assassinate a fucking prominent critic of Israel, it probably wouldn't be Charlie Kirk, who has dick rode Israel into oblivion.
About who the shooter was or who the killer was. And I think it doesn't help a very difficult situation for people to be blaming violence like this on political parties or political factions. I certainly resisted that when I heard people doing that after the Minnesota killings or after Paul Pelosi was attacked. And, there's no reason for us to get into that. The violence against political leaders is unacceptable. in a free democratic society, and it is a threat to democracy. So we all have to denounce it, we all have to reject it, and we should all resist the temptation just to point fingers. That takes us nowhere. We should be rejecting gun violence and political violence in all of their forms, regardless of who the target is.
As far as the political rhetoric goes, though, do you believe that lawmakers on both sides need to tone this down?
Sure, I definitely believe lawmakers need to tone it down, and we should do our best to try to make friends with people on the other side of the aisle. I mean, we're all Americans, right? So I just don't accept the idea that to belong to a different political party means that you're in some kind of enemy camp. And we all have to reject that and struggle against it.
How do you struggle and reject that? I mean, it seems like so much of this comes from a cultural animus that's almost bottom up in a sense. Can you really display a top-down sense of an example to follow that you think will be effective?
Well, I think no, but we can display bottom-up forms of friendship and relationship, and I hope we all can do it. I mean, obviously, in the House of Representatives, we got 435 people. You can't make close friends with everybody, but everybody can try to make friends with some people who are outside of their immediate, state or political group. Certainly try and do that, and I hope we all will try and do that. But it's a very dark time with the political violence spiraling out of control and gun violence a threat to everybody in the country.
You and other members of the former January.
Are you
6th
ready for
committee
Kirk Gate to be a catalyst of another Red Scare? I mean, I think that the opportunity is ripe for this already, and I do think that they will use this. The Republicans will use this because there's a lot of unrestrained anger right now. There always has been. I mean, that is the name of the game for right-wing commentary in general. But they want some kind of violent solution. So we will have more videos from the incident come out. Like, we'll have more people filming the rooftops and whatnot, and we can analyze it as it goes on. But I don't know. What is this? Possible Charlie Kirk shooter running on the roof of a nearby building? Yeah, I know. We saw it. We watched that video already. Yeah. They already have a Gestapo secret police. It's called ICE, and they're actively beefing it up. There's job fairs and whatnot everywhere where they're trying to bring in more people to the Gestapo secret police. And eventually it won't be just the Supreme Court just allowed ICE to apprehend anybody that they consider to look Mexican or sound Mexican. Now they'll just look for people who look woke, something along those lines,
He said, of course, it will be interesting to see how the politics of this all plays out, but surely a horrific and tragic event that has united both sides of the political aisle here. Calls from Democrats and Republicans that this should not happen. This cannot happen in this country. And they've really united behind that. The moment of silence, of course, on Capitol Hill. We've heard from Democratic leaders, Republican leaders. So I'm sure that we will continue to hear from them. I know that we won't, at least in person, hear from the president tonight. We haven't seen him on camera today. He had that event. I know we've been talking about this, but he's had that event, that dinner scheduled for tonight at 7 o'clock over at the White House, where I'm told a bunch of cabinet officials were supposed to be present. He's canceled that. He's getting updates from his team, rolling updates from his team. I'm told the FBI Director Kash Patel was over at the White House earlier today. So obviously that has been postponed. I think it's likely you could hear from the president, at least on camera, tomorrow about this. But this surely is something that he continues to monitor as law enforcement continues to get more information from the ground, from the federal law enforcement presence on the ground. I know that the FBI is surging people in. I could expect at this news are coming up that they will likely say that federal authorities are taking the lead on this, as typically happens here. But still lots of questions that need to be answered for the community, for the people who were attending that event, for Charlie Kirk and his family, that need to be cleared up, including whether or not they do.
I don't trust Kash Patel, but even though he is the least trustworthy person in the United States of America, the least trustworthy person in the United States of America has said the subject for the horrific shooting today that took the life of Charlie Kirk is now in custody. Thank you for the local and state authorities in Utah for a partnership with the FBI. We will provide updates when able. This is what Republican representatives are already claiming.
Own what happened today.
Nancy Mace's very first words to reporters on Charlie Kirk was, Democrats own what happened today. Oh my God.
Devastated. My kids have called panicking. They probably, all the kids of every conservative in the country called panicking. Just because you speak your mind on an issue doesn't mean you get shot.
Then by that logic, do Republicans own the shooting of the 2 Democratic lawmakers in Minnesota?
Political.
Isn't this on both sides?
Are you kidding me?
No, I mean,
What? It's a good question. I mean, what's your logic here, you know?
We don't know what condition Charlie Kirk is in right now. Some raging
Yeah, immediately. How dare you? How dare you? It's like, do you hear the words that are coming out of your fucking mouth, dumbass? What do you mean, how dare you? You just said it. You said Democrats own Charlie Kirk's assassination. No evidence whatsoever. And the reality of the matter is, like, people say, like, oh, the left is so radical. The left is so violent, right? Oh, so much for the tolerant left. But especially if you're going to put the crosshairs on the Democrats in general, the Democrats are afraid of their own fucking shadows. They would never even, they don't even ramp up the rhetoric in a way that makes sense to truly capture the attention of the audience and the anger that a lot of people in the base of support feel, let alone go above and beyond that and advocate for political violence. Like, what are we talking about? What are we even fucking talking about? It's so ridiculous. Yes, I know the FBI has announced that they have the suspect in custody. Like, the only things that you can point to is I guess, like, Hakeem Jeffries posting up with a baseball bat. Goofy, you know? Guy with a rifle that has a silencer at the end of it. I saw this video as well. I don't know what the fuck this is, okay? It could be just like a homeless person. You don't know. The party of Kyle Rittenhouse is complaining about political violence. I know.
I think they just found the guy. Right.
Reports saying he's dead. A homeless person with a $3,000 rifle. I mean, I don't fucking know who this guy is. We don't know anything. He could be anything. It could be the guy, but it could also be something totally irrelevant. You know what I mean? Why would you can't jump to conclusions. Where's the fucking press conference? Oh, here it is.
The Utah Department of Public Safety will be co-leading this criminal investigation to find this killer, along with the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Yeah, Utah's an open carry state, chatters.
We're working in unison with the County Sheriff's Office, the local police department, and the University Police Department, all of which have been very cooperative and fully engaged in this process. Shortly after the shooting, we did have a suspect in custody, George Zinn, but he was released from custody after we identified that he did not match the shooting suspect and was not an accurate person of interest. However, he has been booked into the county jail by Utah Valley University Police Department for obstruction of justice. We do still have an active investigation for the person of interest. This incident occurred with a large crowd around. There was one shot fired.
What is it, George Zinn?
Victim. While the suspect is at large, we believe this was a targeted attack towards one individual. This is a tragic moment in our state and in our country. As we heal, we encourage everyone who's struggling with news of the incident to call 988, our state mental health crisis.
Oh, they have audio scanner, police scanner. They said it wasn't him.
Partners with the FBI will also be discussing other ways we can communicate through the public for tips and other information. Thank you.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the FBI, we extend our sincerest condolences to the family and friends of Charlie Kirk. Our thoughts are also with the people.
He's no longer at large. FBI says they got him.
We know that what you experienced was very difficult.
What the fuck's going on? FBI says they got him. These guys are saying, local law enforcement saying they don't got him.
As soon as we heard about the shooting, special agents and personnel from the Salt Lake field office responded immediately. We have full resources devoted to this investigation, including tactical, operational, investigative, and intelligence. To be clear, the FBI will fully support and co-lead this investigation alongside with our partners. We are working on setting up a digital media tip line, and as soon as it's established, we'll get that information out to everyone. I know there's a lot of questions. This is very much an active case, and this investigation is in its early stages.
It did happen just now, so they might not have been briefed.
If anyone has any information, please report it to the FBI or local law enforcement. Thank you.
I don't know. Or maybe they don't believe Kash Patel either because he's
On behalf
just
of
an
President
unbelievable
Jimenez,
guy.
who we've been communicating
He's
with,
an
and
unbelievable
she's on her way
guy.
back right now. I say that on behalf of Utah Valley University, we are shocked and saddened by the tragic passing of Charlie Kirk. We express our sincere condolences to the Kirk family. We grieve with our students, faculty, and staff who bore witness to this unspeakable tragedy. He was invited by the
What the
student group
fuck is
Turning Point
happening? Man,
USA to
it's
speak
so
on our
incompetent.
campus. We firmly believe that
This
UVU is a
admin.
place to share ideas and to debate openly and respectfully. Any attempt to infringe on those rights has no place here. We do not condone any form of violence at UVU.
What the fuck? What was that?
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this dark and tragic occasion. I want to thank our law
chatters.
enforcement officers who are leading this investigation, starting with Chief Long and his response here with the UVU Police Department. We're grateful for your leadership and your team, and again to the speakers that you've just heard from, who are co-leading this investigation. I also want to recognize Sheriff Mike Smith, who has been an invaluable partner as this investigation moves forward.
What is going on, brother?
I've been in touch with President Trump, with FBI Director Kash Patel. We are completely aligned with our state and federal partners.
You're not.
You're
not. Kash Patel said you got the guy. What is happening?
This is a dark day for our state. It's a tragic day for our nation.
What the fuck is
I
going
want to
on,
be very
dude?
clear
What
that
is
this
happening?
is a political assassination. We are celebrating 250 years of the founding of this great nation. That founding document, the Declaration of Independence, that this great experiment on which we embarked together 250 years ago, that we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. The first one of those is life. And today, a life was taken. Charlie Kirk was first and foremost a husband and a dad to two young children. He was also very much politically involved, and that's why he was here on campus. Charlie believed in the power of free speech and debate to shape ideas and to persuade people.
What the fuck?
Historically, our university campuses in this nation and here in the state of Utah have been the place where truth and ideas are formulated and debated. And that's what he does. He comes on college campuses and he debates. That is foundational to the formation of our country, to our most basic constitutional rights. And when someone takes the life of a person because of their ideas or their ideals, then that very constitutional foundation is threatened. Now, we have a person of interest in custody. The investigation is ongoing. But I want to make it crystal clear right now, to whoever did this, we will find you, we will try you, and we will hold you accountable to the furthest extent of the law. And I just want to remind people that we
Seemingly
still
not,
have the
by
death
the way.
penalty.
Like, they're saying this, but I don't know if this is true, because Kash Patel says they caught him. They're saying they haven't. I don't even know. If Kash Patel deleted his tweet?
Our nation is broken.
Oh my fucking God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
We've had
Oh my God.
political
No fucking shot.
assassinations
Where is the tweet?
Recently in Minnesota, we had an attempted assassination.
Head of the fucking
on the governor of
FBI,
Pennsylvania,
dude.
And we had an attempted assassination on a presidential
No, he
candidate
hasn't
and
deleted
former
it.
president of the United States.
He hasn't. It's
and
still
now
here.
current
It's still
president
there.
of the
It's still
United
there.
States.
It's still there. It's still there. But I still don't know. I don't know. I don't know why these guys are saying that he hasn't.
Country. Nothing I can say right now can fix what is broken.
Why? Why?
Nothing I can say can bring back Charlie Kirk. Our hearts are broken. We mourn with his wife, his children, his family, his friends. We mourn as a nation. If anyone in the sound of my voice celebrated even a little bit at the news of this shooting,
Wait, they said this.
I would
They have a
beg
person
you
in custody. Wait, why are they saying the manhunt still continues?
and to see if you can find
So they have a person of interest.
I don't care what his politics are. I care that he was an American.
Dude, they said they have a person of interest, and he's still talking about, if you did this, we will find you, and we will do whatever the
Desperately
fuck
need our
we have
country,
to.
But more than the leaders, we just need
Am I crazy?
every single person in this country.
They're both saying the exact same thing. They're both saying the suspect is in custody, but they're not perfectly sure if he's the guy. I don't understand the confusion.
To ask ourselves, is this it? Is this what 250 years has wrought on us? I pray that that's not the case. I pray that those who hated what Charlie Kirk stood for will put down their social media and their pens.
Okay. Mason, we did have a suspect in custody. but he was released after we identified that he was not an accurate person of interest. However, he has been booked in the county jail for obstruction of justice. This was who he was talking about, the first guy that they actually arrested, okay? There's also a miscommunication in terms of like whether or not they have another
We have a
actual
person of interest in custody
Oh,
that is being
okay.
interviewed right now. We do.
That is not George Zinn.
That is not George Zinn. That is correct.
Okay. I wasn't alone in being confused, chatters.
Or anybody else related.
Yes, we are actively looking for anyone and everyone who has any possible information relating to this shooting.
Can you tell us details about the suspect being taken into custody? Where? How long ago?
We cannot at this point, but we will get you that information when we can.
Is there believed to be a second individual involved in the shooting?
At this point, there is no information that would lead us to believe that there is a second person involved.
Can you guys talk about the possible shooter?
We talk what we know there.
Yeah. The only information we have on the suspect, the possible shooter, is taken from closed circuit TV here on campus. We do have that. We're analyzing it, but it is security camera footage, so you can kind of guess what the quality of that is. But we do know dressed in all dark clothing, but we don't have a much better description other than that.
Where do you think the shot came from?
The shot came from here on campus, from a location at potentially from a roof, yes. A longer distance shot from a roof.
So to clarify, with the security camera footage you have and the person of interest that's in custody, does that match up?
That's what we're trying to decipher right now.
So did FBI or DHS have anything on the threat board this morning?
I can't speak.
I'll just say that the investigation's ongoing, and as soon as we have further information, we will be sure to release it.
Any indications of foreign intelligence involvement?
As of now, I can't comment on any of that.
Thank you. Can you talk a little bit about the security of the event itself? Who was there security-wise, and what happens on these kind of events?
So my name is Jeff Long. I'm the police chief here at UVU, and I'll tell you right now, we're devastated. We're a small police department. We have a very large campus. We have over 40,000 students, and we love our students. We love our visitors, and we're devastated by what happened today. This is the police chief's nightmare. I'm very saddened for the Kirk family. I know his wife and parents found out about this. Obviously he's away from home. He's here in Utah. They find out by a police officer.
Wait, I thought they were there at the event.
Nobody wants that. But I can tell you about our venue today. This was an open venue. This was outside. We did have 6 officers working that event. We had probably over 3,000 people that were in attendance. It sat down in kind of a bowl area here on the central campus. We have a waterfall area. And so he was kind of in a lower area surrounded by buildings. We had some plainclothes police officers that were in the crowd as well. We train for these things, and you think you have things covered, and these things, unfortunately,
you're watching this live press conference from Orem, Utah. Normally, we were on the air with World News Tonight. We will join the broadcast in just a moment. I want to bring you up to speed on what we just learned. There is a person of interest now in custody. They are interviewing this person. It is not the same person that was taken into custody for a short period of time earlier in the day. That person has been cleared. Again, there is a person of interest in custody. They have no intelligence at this point to believe that there was anyone else involved as of yet. They believe that shot was fired from a building on campus, a separate location, a distance away from where Charlie Kirk was. Again, Charlie Kirk shot and killed on that Utah campus this afternoon. Our team is standing by. We'll have much more throughout the evening. And for those of you in the East, World News Tonight starts just moments from now.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, was it your team or Kirk's team or a combination of both that kind of set the security protocol for the event?
So we work together. He has his team, and they do this all over the country. We all know that. This is not uncommon for them. They're very comfortable on campuses, and I was coordinating with his lead security guy, and so yeah, we were working together.
Was this a sharpshooter type shot?
Ladies and gentlemen, those are all the questions that will be answered today. Again, thank you for covering this. We will be updating you as soon as we have additional information through normal channels, working with law enforcement. Again, our deepest condolences to the Kirk family and to the students who were there today. And I would just ask everyone everywhere to please pray for their family and to pray for our country. We need it now more than ever. Thank you.
All with updates through one channel of information, whether it's
Okay, there's also some additional information that came out from investigative reporter at the DC Examiner, the Washington Examiner, which is a right-wing outlet. According to a live feed of the Utah County Police scanner at the time of Charlie Kirk's shooting, an individual was spotted with a long rifle wearing jeans, a black shirt, a black mask, and a black vest. It starts off with inaudible on top of the building on the far north side, just east of the library, wearing jeans, black shirt, black vest. A speaker on the police scanner says, here's the audio of the moment Utah County Police dispatchers responded to the Charlie Kirk shooting.
UVU by the Soundstand reported one individual that was shot, unknown where the shooter went. And let's be advised, UVU in Orem has had an active shooter at the Charlie Kirk event. We're getting several calls. We're trying to get more information.
They requesting it?
We're not sure yet. We're just trying to get units that way.
Don't call out.
Are there other victims, or was this a targeted attack? No, dude, no other victims, just Charlie Kirk. Straight neck shot. No one else. It was very clearly, he was very clearly the target. Okay?
Center and 500 West, so no further.
He didn't even shoot multiple times, that's part of the reason why I think people are, even Greg Buttfeld was saying that this is like the work of someone who might be a little bit more professional, like the work of a competent actor, because like lone wolf shootings and incidents like that oftentimes devolve into a mass shooting, mass casualty event. Because in that moment, the dude is like panicking. In that moment, the dude is like panicking and worried about like people shooting back at him. You know what I mean? Like there's a couple panic shots, even in the direction of the target. This was just straight up one shot, one kill. Like he had Charlie Kirk on his sights, and he hit him right in the fucking jugular. It is insane. So I do feel like it kind of narrows the field a little bit as far as like who could potentially be a suspect. I want to make something clear. The person was a medium good shot who actually missed what they were aiming at, likely his head, maybe. But he only shot once. You understand? He shot one time over 200 yards in the distance. Like he didn't shoot twice. He didn't go for the look. The thing that people teach you when you learn how to shoot is to aim for center mass. This is the same for police. This is the same for even the military. You're supposed to aim for center mass. You're not supposed to aim for the head, because you're supposed to aim for center mass and you're supposed to shoot multiple times. This person very clearly, even if they were going for the head as opposed to the neck, very clearly was only interested in taking one shot. 200 yards sounds a bit far-fetched because I think it is. The figure on the roof in several videos ID'd as the shooter was 128 yards away, give or take 1 yard while prone, seconds before the shot. Still an insane shot, but more reasonable than the 200-yard number going around. I mean, that's still a crazy shot, no? Especially in a like this is ultimately still a moving target in a very active environment, and it's a very small target from that distance. But I don't know. Check my last message. No, I refuse. 200 isn't that crazy, dude. Trust me, I'm a gun pervert. What is this? Konstantin Kissin. Who the fuck? Oh, it's the trigonometry guys. I hope I'm wrong, but tonight feels like some sort of invisible line has been crossed that we didn't even know was there. Last time I felt like this was 9/11 when it was clear without knowing how and the what. The world was about to change forever. Like the rules of the game had been permanently altered and there was simply no going back to the innocent, peaceful past. I didn't feel like this is an attempt that was made. I didn't feel like this when an attempt was made on President Trump's life. If I had to rationalize why I didn't, I guess it was because several U.S. presidents have been shot and even assassinated. Somehow it was within the realms of the possible, no matter how awful. But to murder a young father simply for doing debates and mobilizing young people to vote for a party that represents half of America, this is something else. Charlie's death is a tragedy for his wife, his children, his family. I don't pray often. I'm praying for them tonight. But I fear his murder will be a tragedy for all of us in ways we will only understand as time unfolds. I hope I'm wrong. I mean, he's not a liberal. He's a right-winger. The trigonometry guys are right-wingers. The thing with Kirk in this particular moment was that he was gradually becoming the face of untrustworthy, hackish partisanship on the right, to the point that someone who built his career around crashing his events and insulting him personally, Fuentes, was gaining rapid fame. Now his legacy is going to be solidified as it was when he was at the peak of his fame, influence, and credibility. There will never be a process in which his fans become disillusioned with him. This is a very good thing for TPUSA and will allow it to remain influential over the long haul, even if the Trump administration writ large crashes and burns. Sorry he was not as important as 9/11. Yeah, I don't think so either, obviously. But Edinger Mentum's assessment is correct that there was definitely, with the Epstein stuff, especially with Israel, but also with the Epstein stuff, there was disillusionment with Charlie Kirk. Not that it matters at this point, because obviously he will now be revered as a martyr and a hero to the modern Republican movement. But especially with the Epstein stuff, like when he had that famous moment where he said, like, I got a call from the Trump administration and they told me not to talk about the Epstein stuff, so I'm going to stop talking about the Epstein stuff. That in and of itself, I think, is right-wing Twitter is being normal. Libs of TikTok, this is war. Oh my God. Guys, before you think this is like a false flag incident for what comes next, please think. Do you think Donald Trump would do a false flag incident by burning Charlie Kirk? The answer is no. Okay. I'm not even going to, no, don't say yes. There are a million other people that the administration would probably fucking martyr if they were going to unironically kill somebody that before Charlie Kirk. You guys are fucking crazy. No, they're just using this as an opportunity to continue advancing their dangerous fascist project. I don't know. People talk about like shooting a small target from 200 yards or 128 yards or whatnot, but they fail to consider like what that means. Okay. I don't think it works that way. I don't think it starts with like your first target. I don't like what I'm trying to say is like someone who actually shoots from that distance with one shot, factoring in wind conditions and whatnot, I suspect is probably someone who has shot someone else in the past as well, right? Hasan, you always do this. You don't know. This person is not even talking about my assessment of the shooting and whether it was a complex shot or a difficult shot or not. This person is mad because I said, I don't think Donald Trump would fucking martyr Charlie Kirk. That's what you're saying. Yeah, of course I don't know if that's a possibility. Just like I don't know if Mossad did it. Just like I don't know if Hamas did it. Okay, but that doesn't mean it's like it's not in the realm of fucking possibilities. Okay, you know, you can eliminate certain things by using logic and critical thinking skills. That's crazy. Neither of us know until there's more evidence, until the investigations are concluded. Neither of us are going to know with any certainty whatsoever what the motivations were. Okay. Having said that, however, I see a lot of people throwing conspiracies around with the notion that like throwing conspiracies around that he was going to like, he was just right there. He was about to be like anti-Israel or something. And then they had to get him out or some shit. Like, no, I don't think those are credible. I think those are incredible conspiracies. They are very, very, very unlikely. I still don't know what it is, obviously, and neither do you, but I just don't have a suspicion that it's
thanks to you. I also want to bring in our ABC.
It was Trump killing him so that they can make a martyr out of him.
Richard, again, before this press conference started, we heard from the FBI Director Kash Patel saying that there's someone in custody. Then we heard that there's an ongoing manhunt from local authorities, and then the governor confirming there is a person of interest.
Charlie Kirk being assassinated is the American Reichstag fire. It is time for a complete crackdown on the left. Every Democratic politician must be arrested and party banned under RICO. Every libtard commentator must be shut down. Stochastic terrorism, they caused this.
Is taking on this questioning. How does this get
This
delegated?
guy's a Nazi, by the way, if you couldn't tell from the fact that he's using Reichstag fire with the full knowledge of like how it was implemented and what came after. 25,000 likes, by the way, to that statement. Fucking awesome. Fucking awesome, dude. Love living in this media environment. Love living in these times as opposed to any other. Fantastic.
Terms, basically terrorism. In that capacity, the FBI could come in with the U.S. Attorney's Office and make this a federal case and bring this under federal charges. So you might have state case, state charges, and also federal charges. But they'll work together on it because the evidence that they're trying to gain is the same. They're trying to prove who shot, who
shot Charlie Kirk.
Who shot Charlie. And the other thing that was a little bit telling was that when they were asking the questions of the FBI, somebody did ask, hey, is there even a foreign power involved? And
I'm beginning to notice a pattern here where like anytime it's a right-wing figure that's attacked or even if it's like a right-wing figure and his cars are attacked or whatever, it's terrorism. But if it's a liberal that's assassinated, it's not terrorism. We need to wait and see. It's an unfortunate incident. How unfortunate, but it is what it is. It must be a leftist that killed him, that kind of shit. It's very interesting.
Senior White House correspondent Selena Wang, and Selena certainly mourning across this country, but perhaps nowhere more than Washington, D.C. right now.
Tonight, the White House is in mourning. The White House has flags at half-staff, and President Trump has ordered for flags to be lowered across the country. This is an administration and a Capitol that is rattled by this act of violence. You had that moment of silence, of mourning on Capitol Hill, a real bipartisan push to lower the temperature, the tone of political rhetoric in this country, bipartisan condemnation across the political aisle on both sides of the political spectrum to condemn this sort of political violence. And President Trump tonight in mourning, grieving as well. The president had posted that Charlie Kirk was loved and admired by all, especially me. We've been talking about how hard it is to overstate the influence that Charlie Kirk had within this administration, but also to this broader MAGA movement.
Check Twitter, babe.
The
What?
murder of a young father and husband, and certainly the country in mourning. Selena Wang, our thanks to you, and thank you for streaming with us. I'm Kana Whitworth. We take you now live to ABC News Live Prime with Lindsay Davis for more breaking news coverage, again, of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, who was shot and killed in Utah. As you look across this country, hug your families and pay attention to those American flags that will be flown at half-staff.
Yeah, except like while this is happening, there was another fucking school shooting that took place in Colorado. It's so crazy that it's just like, that's how commonplace this is, you know? America is so fucking cooked. America is so cooked.
The founder.
I can't get over the horrible irony. Like, his very last words coming out of his mouth before he got shot and killed was still, unironically, down to the fucking last moment, a defense of a defense and fomenting the exact same kind of violence that ended up taking him out. It's so crazy. And not only that, but also every single one of these people are just like fucking pushing the same, like they're just getting actively more and more radicalized. Yeah. And in the same time frame, not even an hour after Charlie Kirk was shot, a school was shot up in Colorado. We interrupt the shooting at a college to bring you news of a shooting at a high school. Yeah. This is America, man. Yeah, I saw the House floor go for a moment of silence, and then people were yelling at each other. That video from the chatter sent you about the dude getting arrested is from 2022. Thank you.
Our hearts are broken.
The 31-year-old father of two was on the first stop of his
it is crazy.
comeback tour. Speaking on
It is not crazy how this is being reacted to. The FBI guy was basically giving a eulogy and the president ordering flags to half-mast, just saying it wouldn't be the same if it was a political commentator on the other side. Yes. The reality of the matter is if any political commentary person on the other side, myself included, was assassinated in a similar vein, there would be no fucking half-mast flags. Okay? That's just the truth. And I don't even think the Democrats would present this as, like, the Democrats would not be calling for fucking violence, not saying that that's the smart thing to do in this situation at all. And virtually every Republican, including active Republicans in Congress, would be celebrating it, as they did. This is not even a hypothetical that I need to, like, make up in my mind, because we saw it happen. We saw it happen 2 months ago. A Democratic politician was assassinated with numerous other Democratic politicians on the hit list of the assassin. And Republicans either celebrated it or immediately blamed the left. They said, oh, the left did this. They made jokes about it. So yeah, I mean, Paul Pelosi is another one. It's just like, there is no, I'm telling you right now, there is just a major double standard in this. Everybody understands it, I think, at this point. It's just like there is a 30% base of support within the Republican Party that is not only responsible for the metric ton of like a big chunk of the violent rhetoric coming in the realm of politics, but also simultaneously are like claiming victim in this circumstance as well.
Say this.
What? Nancy Mace's first words, AOC's response? This is not AOC's response. This is Nancy Mace. What is this? 16K likes on this? Okay, dude. Mike Lee is a perfect example. Here's an example. Yeah. Boy, base Mike Lee's tone sure changed since the last political assassination when 2 Minnesota Democrats were shot dead in June. Nightmare on Wall Street. This is what happens when Marxists don't get their way. Look at how he's talking about Charlie Kirk getting assassinated now. Noticeable pattern shift here. Noticeable tone shift.
He had boundless energy, great love for his country. I agree with Charlie Kirk or not. Go on record saying I agree with him. Sure, I could identify, if I went through enough things, some issue, obscure issue where we didn't agree, but
what?
Can't think of one right now.
Dedicated for Carly the Master Debater, R.I.P. After the killing of Charlie Kirk, an Israeli occupation soldier documented himself bombing Gaza for Kirk's sake. There's no way, bro. I just don't. Sus, maybe fake. I mean, tracking genocide is pretty good on this stuff, to be fair. They're very careful with their documentation, but you know, I'll wait for further validation, I guess.
But whether you agree with him or not, you have to respect his boundless energy, his commitment to making the world a better place, genuine decency and respect that he showed to other people, even while disagreeing with them, even while they were yelling at him. I don't think I can remember ever seeing him respond back to hatred with me or with anything other than respect. And he had the ability to explain complex concepts to people in very simple, understandable terms, even people who haven't historically been involved in politics or historically thought of themselves as conservatives or one way or another. And I think that's his legacy. And it's a legacy.
Yeah, nobody's actually showing his commentary for some reason. Nobody's actually quoting him, showing his commentary, because I feel like if you did do that, it would obviously be a lot harder to be like, he was a compassionate man who always treated everybody with respect. I mean, let's be real. He was not a compassionate person. He quite literally said empathy is fake and woke and gay and made up. And every marginalized group was directly within the crosshairs. Did he personally believe it, or was he simply a servant of the right? It doesn't really matter because the output was the same. Lots of Twitter randos calling for violence against you. Stay safe, bud. I know, man. What else is new? You know, this is every day of my life. Okay, every day of my life for the past 10 years. It is what it is. It's been happening, and dude. People will be like, "Oh, dude, there are people who are wishing death upon you all over the internet." Is such a crazy thing to say because yesterday, before this happened, the former disgraced governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, who is in second place for the New York mayoral race right now after he already lost the primaries to Zohran Mamdani, literally tried to make it seem as though I had something to do with 9/11. Okay? Like, I know. Of course people fucking wish death upon me. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you think that is? Why do you think he's saying that? Anyway, since Republicans on this hell side are getting on their high horse today and politicizing the horrific and inexcusable murder of Charlie Kirk when we don't have a suspect or motive yet, it's worth reminding them of this Trump-endorsed GOP gubernatorial candidate last year. Lieutenant Mark Robinson at North Carolina church meeting, some folks need killing. I mean, yeah, there's just not, that's it. This kind of violence, specifically political violence, is only going to ramp up in its intensity, in its frequency, in its magnitude. The reason why it's going to ramp up is because if left unaddressed, the political instability demands some sort of pressure valve, okay? Part of that is when mass protests take place, for example, and the cops, instead of or administration, instead of listening to the demands, very reasonable demands being made by the population, will sick the cops on them and brutalize them. And then those turn into riots. Okay. And the same principle goes here as well. In the absence of any sort of real legislative change here, and it's seemingly impossible, I think that decentralized versions of violence, such as this one, will only continue to ramp up in its intensity, in its frequency, in its magnitude. It is an inevitability. This is why we advocate for a systemic change. This is why we advocate for a radical change in the legislative agenda, okay?
Did have some moments of confusion. Do they or do they not have the person in custody that they, for all intents and purposes, know did this or not? Can you tell?
They have a person in custody who they've referred to as a person of interest, but this is essentially their main suspect right now. How do they get there? Let's go back to that footage of the rooftop with the yellow tape. When the shots fired, individuals saw a figure on a rooftop. Now, this rooftop is the only one that has crime scene tape on it. It fits that 200-yard distance. It's way far away behind a building and then behind a lower building. And this is the taller building where someone could have been in the corner of that building where those air vents are and actually gotten a straight line of sight all the way across down that amphitheater to where Kirk was in that tent.
I mean, you know, Tim Clemente, the horrible reality of this, to be that far away, they're saying 200 yards, right, John?
Right.
200 yards with a single shot. that requires somebody who knows what they're doing, right?
It does, Aaron. It's not a spectacular shot. I was actually training snipers this morning.
Classic fucking gun guys, dude. Every gun guy in the
they were
chat.
taking shots out 500, 600 yards routinely. So 200 yards isn't a terrible distance, but you need to know how to aim and control your trigger pull, and that's about all it takes at 200 yards to make an effective shot like that.
And I think that context is so crucial, as obviously you're training snipers today, so you know of what you speak. This large crowd in attendance, we know that he had his own private security. Interesting, what Emma was saying, that there was a police presence, but not as much as she and her colleagues would have expected when they were there. Tim, just to think about this moment that we're in, as you are training snipers today, and all of a sudden you see this headline. How big of a shock is something like this happening in this country?
It's horrific. It's a terrible shock. I mean, this takes us back to a period of time in the 1960s when leaders on both sides were being killed. And